So it's another one of those days where people tuned into Raw, even though it's only been a week since he did return, and they were like, well, that flub is CM Punk. I mean, it got so bad, apparently the chants before Raw were out of control. Can you imagine if you were someone backstage where the word's going down? You'd probably be like, maybe we need to get that old CM Punker on the phone and get him down here right now. Now, it is important to note that WWE made it very clear that CM Punk was going to be on SmackDown this week. And as soon as they had said that, I was like, well, clearly he's not going to be on Raw, because again, they're banging that drum. I totally understand, you're a fan. And I think WWE sold like 2,000 extra tickets ever since CM Punk did return. And you'd have to put 2 and 2 together. It does not equal potato, it does equal 4. Because I imagine those individuals were a little bit like, oh my gosh, we get to see CM Punk. So of course, that is disappointing. But after watching the most latest episode of Raw, if you are watching this on the 5th of December, which it is today, I think Raw and WWE just proved a very good point. And that is this. The whole 3 hours were essentially surrounded by what Drew McIntyre was going to do. I mean, the first segment was him doing the O promo, then we went into his match with Sami Zayn, then he was killing Sami Zayn halfway through the show. And at the end, as soon as Jey Uso versus Seth Rollins was over, he booted Jey right in the face. He took out Seth Rollins and essentially looked at the camera as like, man, I'm definitely a heel now. Truth will set you free. And it's not just the fact that I think this is the best that Drew has been maybe ever. This heel turn has been so good that I want to give WWE a round of applause. But there were other trinkets that were kind of placed throughout this show that made me go, you didn't need CM Punk on this episode of Raw. I don't want to be that guy. You're going to roll your eyes, and I do apologize. But a lot of it is because of the bloodline. I know, I'm sorry. But look at it like this, right? A few years ago, everybody was like, WWE has no stars. We need brand new stars. Why aren't there any more stars? And the first people to kind of come out of this were Sami Zayn after he'd been in the bloodline. Then it was Jey Uso after he'd been in the bloodline. I'm sure we're going to do the same with Solo Sikoa. And even those who were interacting with Roman Reigns, we made sure, even if they did get defeated for the 1, 2, 3, we've got to keep them at the top of the tree. Drew McIntyre is one of those people. He lost at Clash at the Castle, but now we are using that defeat, what happened back in, August 2022, whenever that flub it was. We are using that to tell you this is why he's mad. This is why he's doing what he is doing. And when you do base something from a long time ago, which rewards long-term fans like you and me, because we're nerds and we're geeks, for some reason, that does give them a bigger superstar aura. It's almost like he's been sat on it now for 18 months, going, man, I'm so angry, and eventually I'm going to explode. And this also ties into Jey Uso, who left the bloodline, called himself main event Jey Uso, and now has not only main evented SummerSlam, but he has main evented this episode of Raw in an amazing World Heavyweight Championship match. Now, a card will pop up there. It's my ups and downs for WWE Raw that's over on What Culture. Please do check that out and subscribe. Subscribe to me, subscribe to absolutely everyone. But I did a skit over there, which was literally like, if you had told anybody, even 2 years ago, that Jey was going to be in this position, you would have been smacked in the face. And you would have done, because it wouldn't have made any sense. Imagine you had told someone this a decade ago. The dude that was coming out with his face painted with Jimmy, his twin brother, and Tamina, there is nobody meaner, come 2023 is going to be in this amazing position. You just wouldn't have seen it just because of the way that WWE looks at tag team. In many ways, a tag team is just there to be split up, and then sometimes people go on to huge success. But with the Usos, it didn't really feel like it. So I think that is why it's so important that if you're not going to put CM Punk on a show, you make sure you give your best effort, whatever the right term would be. That sounded absolutely ridiculous. But WWE did it, because again, Sami Zayn feels like he just got written out. But when he was going off on Drew, again, he just felt like such a major deal. Like, I believe in every word that he was saying. The fact that Seth Rollins is now calling out CM Punk makes him massively interesting, but he's also the World Heavyweight Champion. And I kind of think Seth gets, not a rough ride, I think that's unfair, but he's way better than people give him credit for. And I love the fact he's such a company guy. I know he got some heat for that back in 2019. But now, if we go with some of the real interviews that he's done, I don't think he's particularly a big fan of CM Punk, but he's still willing to work with him, and that's great for us, the fans. So I massively respect that, and again, he feels like he's at the top of the tree.
Oh, Philly Phil, stay away, you cancer.
Cody Rhodes obviously is a mega baby face right now. I mean, you can argue he's doing somewhat of an upper mid-card feud with Shinsuke Nakamura, but when they had their back and forth, and Shinsuke explained, yeah, you know, I won the Rumble, and I went to Mania, and I didn't get to finish my story, so why do you get to finish yours? Which is so petulant, it makes it wonderful. All of a sudden, these two start to feel like bigger stars because their program means something and you can buy into it. It doesn't have to be the entire focal point of any WWE episode, but it means something. And you see what, you can keep doing this as well. Because I mean, Gunther only kind of popped up a couple of times, but because that Intercontinental Championship means something, it's the same for him. And Becky Lynch is just Becky Lynch. Like, Becky Lynch can make any fight that she's in feel like a major deal, and I get it. Not that many people want to see the Nia Jax match, or at least that's the kind of response I found on my old Twitter /X, Simon 316 cheap plug. It will make sense in the world. She can defeat Nia Jax Jax after WWE turned into a monster and Nia Jax is beating everyone. Becky will probably defeat her at the Royal Rumble, and then you start the Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch feud, which will go into WrestleMania. And that is wonderful. And I've just gone through all of these things, which is just touching the surface before we even talk about CM Punk. So now, if you watch an episode of Raw and you feel massively excited, you're probably going to tune into SmackDown. I cannot believe we're going to get to Friday and we're not going to do some kind of interaction between Punk and Heyman, or at least tease it to let you know, oh, in 2024, got all hands, we will do the Roman Reigns feud. So what I kind of feel happens is you get momentum on Monday, then you get momentum on Friday, then you get through the weekend, and Raw comes around again. You're like, oh man, now I really want to watch Raw. And if they do that on SmackDown, they've already told us that Punk is going to be on Raw next week. So even though usually December's a bad time for WWE because everyone knows that Mania, Road to WrestleMania starts in January with the Raw Rumble, and that's when people start tuning back in. But now there's so many things going on, and again, they have padded out the card so well, doesn't even matter that you have brought back one of the most controversial and crazy return people ever in CM Punk. You can still say, oh, by the way, we have X, Y, and Z that we're happy to showcase you. Please hang around. And you will. I really do think you will. So in many ways, not having CM Punk on this show, I guess I probably should have said this earlier, but I didn't. Never mind. Comments can go mad. Go mad. It was actually a better way to do this because WWE has, maybe with or without trying, just proved that right now their roster and their stories and their creative and their characterization is absolutely stacked. And I think it's wonderful. That doesn't mean I think it's the best Raw ever. Again, in my ups and downs, make sure you click it. People think, I think it got something like, I don't know, 8 ups and 1 down or 9 ups and 1 down. People then go, oh, this must equate to it being the greatest thing I've ever seen. No. It just means what WWE is trying to achieve right now, I think they're absolutely achieving. And in many ways, Drew McIntyre is at the forefront of that because this ties into the Bloodline stuff too. It was an elongated out process. And what Roman Reigns' crew reminded WWE, because they'd most definitely forgotten, I've said this in a lot of videos, so I don't want to hamper on this for too much, is that you don't have to pull the trigger straight away. You know, people will emotionally invest the longer you allow them to emotionally invest. So the fact we have seen Drew go from Mr. Nice Guy to Mr. A-Hole, and along the way planted the seeds and told you why he's doing it, just gives it bigger impact. And there were a few Raws before this where he technically already become a bad guy, but he wasn't getting booed. Maybe because some of the fans were like, actually, I see where he's coming from. But now his actions have gone over the top, and he's acting like a massive goober. So even though he may be in the right, we all still think he's a massive dickhead. We're far enough in the video now, we can start calling him a dickhead. And I think that's another tick box as well, and hopefully it just continues to improve the faith of the WWE audience, or universe, hate it, as they like to say. And then that can go to other things as well. Like a lot of people were mad about CM Punk's promo last week. We did a video on it. But now you can kind of go, okay, maybe it wasn't personally for me. But if we're building to something bigger here, which is quite obviously Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins called him out on Raw again.
But when he shows the world his true colors, and when this blows up in your face,
then it'll be all the better for it. I would rather, again, plant these seeds, take our time, and get to late December, early January, and just be chomping at the bit and desperate for this stuff than, like, let's say this week, CM Punk was on Raw, and he bumped into Seth Rollins, and we did it already. No, don't do that. Make me earn it, damn it. Make me work for it. If you're going to give me this much wrestling every single year, which you are going to do, because there is no off-season in wrestling, we can take our time. That should be an absolute pro, an absolute positive that we always lean on. Doesn't mean you do it for every story. You have to listen to the fans, you have to listen to your gut and your heart and your brain and all that kind of stuff. But I like this a lot. Patience is a virtue, and WWE has smashed that in 2023. In fact, it may be the best thing they have brought back, even bigger than CM Punk. So yes, I thought it was really, really smart, and whether it was planned or not, or they just wanted to make sure he did one Raw, one SmackDown, because he's obviously going to sign with Adam Pearce come Monday. Randy Orton went to Fridays, Punk can do Mondays. It doesn't matter. It's worked out tremendously well because everybody upped their game, I thought, yesterday, and it's the best time to do it because soon, as we are geeks, we are going to have to start fantasy booking WrestleMania. And you take somebody like a Drew McIntyre. Are we actually going to do Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania? I still think Drew should win the title, but how do we do that? Is Seth versus Punk not for a championship? There's so many little things that we can talk about, and it just gets me excited in my tootsie toes. So essentially, it's a couple of thumbs up. Well done, WWE, and well done, wrestling. Now, of course, the most important thing is for you to leave a comment below. I know I'm wrong, so you've got to tell me. Spam those comments. Click the notification bell so you know when other videos are going live. There'll be a video on the screen. It'll be about Punk or something. Make sure you click that. Otherwise, if you're into fitness, grillermind.com/Simon. Use code Simon to get 10% off. I promise you, especially their pre-workouts, best in the business. If you want a t-shirt that has stupid wrestling phrases that I came up with, you can at Pro Wrestling Tees. That's in the link, as well as my athletic tees at Samson Athletics. Also, it's patreon.com/Simon316. Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. Simon Miller on Cameo if you want a personalized message. And I believe that is everything. If I have forgotten, tough luck. That's my own bald head doing me a disservice. Don't know what that means, but I will say this. We get to the end of 2023. I include AEW in this as well, and Impact and everything else. I think it's been a really, really good year for sports entertainment, and long may it continue. The negativity can come back at some point, sure, but right now, positive Pete's for life. I'll see you on the next one.